Anyway, happy to be here. Great to have this opportunity here. I'm from Esri, China, Hong Kong, and basically we focus on GIS, Geographic Information Systems. And just to give a background of my company, okay, so we're basically a Hong Kong-based company, and we focus on Hong Kong and Macau market. And we've been around for since 1997, so we're as old as Hong Kong SAR. We'll be celebrating our 25th anniversary also next year. We're actually part of a global Esri Inc. group from the US, based in Redlands in California. So basically, we focus on GIS and mapping solutions. We implement GIS solutions. We sell Esri software. We also provide consultancy. We also provide professional training to GIS users of our software. So we pretty much focus in this area. Just to give you an idea of our client base, okay, so this is just Hong Kong. So as you can see that in the upper left hand, most of our customers are basically government and utilities. And I can say that most of the Hong Kong government departments are users of our software mapping solutions in their respective operations. I can only think of very few departments who are not using a software, like, for example, Inland Revenue, which is quite surprising because, I mean, if you're going to chase people for non-paid taxes, you want to know where they are, right? So this is mapping location solution, okay? We're also in discipline forces. I mean, we help fire services to provide the exact location of their firefighting team when they're rescuing, when they're fighting fires, in the exact location of the buildings. We also provide the routing support to the fire engines to get to the fire incident as soon as possible, avoiding traffic jams and traffic hotspots. So this is what we do. We're also, our customers is also the two largest telecommunication firms, Hong Kong T and Broadband, where their telecommunication lines are mapped using our software. CLP and HKE also use our software to ensure that the power operations are running 7x24, and maintenance-wise, they use our software to locate where's the exact, the cutoff or the turning off of the power. So this is what we do. We are a strong supporter of academics, so a lot of R&D programs in Hong Kong Poly and the other tertiary education, so we provide software for them. For transportation firms, MTR, KMB, we also provide our software for the transportation. So basically, yeah, our footprint is quite large. Okay, so basically, what is GIS, Geographical Information System? Basically, it's a science of where. And what we do is that we provide the framework where you can, access and collect all this data, and then provide the supporting processes to process all this data. So our company's software is called ArcGIS, and basically it's a software suite of many software products. There's a lot of modules, a lot of APIs, ready-made apps and all that, which facilitates people to create systems and connect to different devices and all that. So we provide a lot of tools, to facilitate this and, to get your conceived new, technology solutions up and running instead of waiting for IT for the traditional programming method. So we're into that. And our software is based on three basically fundamental systems. The first is system of record. This is basically where we collect all the different data from different sources. It can be unstructured data. It can be IoT data. We're talking about big data and all that. So this is where we collect. And then making use of this data, we provide tools for analytics, for analyzing all this data. So you can create patterns. You can create forecasts, predictions. And so you can provide really solid information, useful information, intelligence to help with decision making. And all this information and the decision-making results will be disseminated through our system of engagement. We provide easily usable apps and web apps and mobile apps, to send out this data to different users. Users can be top management to aid in their decision-making, and also field workers who are out there in the field doing maintenance work, and they need to send update data back to the back office, so it's a whole teamwork thing. So basically what we do is that we are able to manage and process all types of data, different formats of data. It can be spreadsheets, it can be words, it can be even like really technical format like terrain data, it can be 3D. And if you're like studying buildings or construction or land surveying, we also process CAD, BIM file formats as well. IoT, multidimensional data. So in the context of smart city, we're very much in this, we provide the background, we very much provide the core in planning for smart city. The reason is that, when you think of it, data as you know it, anything data, information about your chair, personal or whatever, 80% of data has a spatial or location element, okay? And this information is so useful for different persons, organizations, governments, strategic firms and all that in their business operations or decision making. So all this is very important. And this is for, in the smart city, if you need to run a city effectively and smart, you need all this data for prevention, monitoring, and basically unlocking the information that you get all this data, and then the wealth of knowledge that is created, which is in previous probably IT technologies is not available. So this is what we're doing. We're contributing to smart city from our software and our framework. So in driving smart cities and increasing the smartness of smart cities, basically information and communication technology, ICT, is the background. We need new ideas, technology. So this is when you guys come in, with your new, young, creative minds, think out of the box. It's endless. And basically, as I mentioned, that's all the data available out there from all the individual appliances, equipment, all that, all the IoT data. They're all very useful data. And then, if you get them in, and then you process it in big data, and then you use analysis tools, then you can get all these informative information management reports or queries. And then, if top management or city planners need this, then you could just get all this information instead of getting someone to write a program and all that. So, and applying AI, you can get all these analysis to these results to achieve what your objective is. And basically, GIS serves as the platform where you can achieve all these functionalities. And besides providing the tools and the framework in this regard, my company has also created a platform where what we do is that we source and we integrate all the available data from Hong Kong government and major utilities in Hong Kong in a very user-friendly platform where everyone is free to download all this data. So this data can be census, it can be traffic, it can be weather, it can be building ordinances. So no matter what business or operations or systems you have, all the information is readily available here to help you in creating your business ideas. Okay, so problem statements. We have 3 problem statements. And even though my company and our solutions covers different areas, industry, as I mentioned before, today I'd like to focus on construction. And 3 challenges that we come up from statements. First is regarding site safety, which it's good that Henry mentioned that, waste management, and asset tracking analysis. I mean, these 3 topics are ongoing, really big issues in the construction industry. For site safety, how might a construction site manager make use of location intelligence to manage sites and enhance worker safety? We're talking about fatalities, accidents, and all that. Statistics-wise, in year 2020, there were more than 2,500 accidents in construction sites in Hong Kong. And in another perspective, per 1,000 construction workers, there's an accident rate of 26.1 in the year 2020. And this is actually a reduction of the previous years, but that's not good news. I mean, it's not good news because in terms of accident rates, the construction industry still has the highest number of accidents and fatalities compared with all other industries. So it's still an ongoing real issue. And in any construction site, I mean, for example, our friend from Chinacam, you know that especially in large construction sites, you can have more than 100 construction workers working on site, doing their different roles and their different tasks, handling and controlling different equipment. So you can imagine all the different activities happening at the same time during a construction site progress. And you have the deadline. You have the deadline of building that that construction, that building, residential building, office building, that deadline that you need to meet. So all these different sub-projects, sub-modules that you need to have, you need to ensure that, I mean, from business-wise, you need to ensure that it's all done, completed within the deadlines. But then worker safety is, of course, very important because if anything happens, this can derail the whole progress. And that turns into financial issue. And also, because it's a very traditional industry, and what we know is that, managing all these large numbers of workers, and also if emergency happens, what are the emergency measures to be taken? It has been a very challenging. To look at the challenging more, because you have, like, for example, lifting operations, like lifting central air conditioning units from the ground floor, using a crane or different devices to lift it to the 21st central air conditioner unit. And then you have, when working at heights, the different construction workers, how do you ensure that they're really sticking to the mandatory, wearing of the personal protective equipment, not only the helmet, but also the harnesses and all that. I mean, you can't have their team leaders scanning and using binoculars to check that they're really complying. Is there a much technology supportive way to ensure that these are being enforced instead of workers? Because we have workers who said, say it's too hot. I'd rather not put on these harnesses, but for safety's sake, we need to ensure that. And then you have electricity-related hazards. Different parts of the construction sites have electricity-related hazards because maybe it's the material, maybe it's like puddles in the water. All these are easily conducted electricity currents. And then you have heat stroke during summer. This is a killer because, as you know, if you've been to a construction site, which I have, the average temperature can be really, really so high because, and also even within the construction sites, the different location of construction site, different parts of the construction site, within the buildings and within the different areas, the temperatures can range also quite high because there's no ventilation and there's exposure. And also maybe perhaps there's some heavy machinery equipment running, and so the heat being released increases the temperature rate. So how do you measure, where are the heat risks in a construction site? And then you have moving objects. You have all these moving of these cranes. Things happening at the same time. How do you avoid these and all that? How do you identify the risk areas in a construction site which are high risk? Okay. So second problem statement is waste management. How might a construction company reform the traditional waste management practices on its site and optimize the routing for waste transportation using spatial data to minimize the impact on it? Okay, there are two elements here. First of all, it's very traditional, the waste management process, how to, be processed, the waste that's being collected and, in the construction, and how to get rid of these waste. These two elements in here. In all construction projects, there's definitely going to be a lot of high amounts of construction waste being generated. And, we don't want, construction waste to be collecting in a certain area and then stopping the progress of the whole project because you need to get rid of that waste. And in the landfill in Hong Kong, 25% of the landfill waste is actually all relates to construction in Hong Kong. So that is a lot of waste that you need to handle and transport. And also, handling it also impacts the noise and the air pollution. I'd like to elaborate more in my next slide. In the handling of waste, it's still very traditional. You'll be surprised that, if you see, like if you go to the construction site and then you see the amounts of waste that's being piled up, the way that they do is that they have, I don't know, maybe a team leader foreman to actually use some manual methods, maybe just looking at it and say that, okay, this is about, I don't know, 1,000 cubic meters of waste that we need to get rid of. And then how do you get rid of? Well, you need vehicles to transport these waste out of the construction site to the landfill. How many vehicles do you need? And what is the schedule? I mean, you can't just say that, oh, please send a vehicle at 10 a.m. in the morning or 9 a.m. in the morning, but isn't that the peak hour? And also construction site area. I mean, the surroundings may be schools, maybe residential areas. You need all this information, to have this solution. And also, all this machinery and all that, all this machinery creates construction waste. So how do you manage the utilization of machinery to create less waste? So that's a challenge. Okay, the third problem statement, asset tracking and analysis. How does a construction site manager leverage spatial visualization and analysis to perform asset tracking and also achieve a holistic view of assets on site? So this is basically inventory control applied in a construction site scenario. Okay, in construction projects, you have equipment, large and small, you have machinery, you have tools. That creates a lot of energy consumption. And if the machinery and the tools and equipment are not being utilized properly and efficiently, this would lead to high cost, both financially and environmentally. I mean, an example is that if you have a worker using a tractor or a dredging equipment, he's finished the job, and then you see that equipment lying idle for a certain period of time, whereas a construction worker on the other side of the construction is waiting for that equipment to be sent to him. But he's just waiting. There's no centralized system or process to say that this has been finished. Okay, please have someone or to transfer it to the other side. So all this asset tracking is necessary in a construction project, especially in such a tight timeline. And also, when the equipment or the machinery breaks down, who's going to fix it? And when do you know that it breaks down? Okay, would something IoT related, be helpful in this, And all this information, you need a whole centralized, holistic view of what is happening and tracking all this machinery. So at the moment, there's nothing in that regard. So I think this will be very useful for this point. Yeah. So I've mentioned all these key points right now. So I'll move forward. Okay, so basically I'd like to talk about the products and the tools which my company Cary, and the product is called ArcGIS, and as mentioned that there's so many individual products, tools, APIs, so many under our software suite. So this is just a really high level. On the left-hand side is a desktop. It's called ArcGIS Pro, and it's basically what the GIS user use to create maps and use the tools to create analytic information and all that. So this will be the core product that you'll be using to create all these analytic information and management information. And the core is the key software. ArcGIS Online is our SaaS product, software as a service. All available features are available in here. And traditional-wise, we have ArcGIS Enterprise, which is the traditional enterprise software. It's installed on a server. So this will collect all the different data as I mentioned, the transaction data to be processed for the user of desktop. So all the IoT data will be stored here, and all the tools to process will be provided here. And this is very new. This ArcGIS Online. The advantage of using ArcGIS Online is that not only all the features are available, but then if you're using ArcGIS Online, then you're part of 10 million users of ArcGIS Online. So the advantage is that you have access to all the users' applications and maps that we have created. So it's like a community. So if you're need help on what the solution reference a project reference which happened in another part of the world, this is basically a community where you can have access to. And this side is all the apps, which basically allows you to create mobile and web apps, for the users to have access to the information being generated here. So I'll just quickly go through. I mentioned about ArcGIS Online, which is our SaaS product. ArcGIS Pro is our analytical desktop product. Field operations, okay. And if we go further, to the science of things, we also provide analytical tools where you can do we have customers doing wealth management. What is the pattern of wealth management in the U.S. You also have a crime prevention. So all these tools, all these results can be generated from our analysis tools. Dashboard is also a key feature because you need a centralized view of what's happening, right? And our dashboard template is easily configurable, and you can create different views like left, middle. It can be for example, the middle can be like a live CCTV feed of a certain area, so you can know what's happening, and then you have an analytics tool to to see what's the result of the CCTV feed. And an example of our dashboard is the COVID-19 dashboard. Okay, our U.S. company provided a template to Johns Hopkins University, and basically the dashboard is used worldwide. Even the Hong Kong COVID-19 dashboard is using our company's template. So app builders, basically, we're into no code development. We try to get away from traditional IT programming because we need these applications out fast. You have all these new ideas and you want to implement these new solution ideas quickly, right? And then get all the data, the APIs and all that. So this is what we do. We provide tools to help you to create all these apps, mobile apps and web apps as soon as possible. Okay, so just some examples of how we're doing in different areas. Like we have a few project reference, AI and safety management. So basically, this is a CCTV clip real time, where we use an IE program to define what's a restricted zone, and then if anyone enters the restricted zone, then we will receive an alert. Okay, and also we can count the number of workers, or it can be even facial, or classification of vehicles, people, that. So we can do this real time analysis. Transportation planning and management. We help transport companies, like for example a bus company in Indonesia uses a software to define what is the optimized route based on, Jakarta traffic jams are horrendous, and you want to know which routes you want to avoid in terms of traffic, traffic black spots and all that. So they use our software based on the real-time data of traffic situations and neighborhoods to what is the optimized route for bus routes. So this again also relates to fleet management. When I talk about construction vehicles, the right routes and all that. So it's kind of related. Yeah. And finally, energy utilities. I mentioned that Hong Kong's energy companies are our customers. So basically, we provide tools to analyze power outages, identify even outages, before they actually happen. So we have all these devices which send data to our platform, and when it hits a certain threshold, then we know that the respective worker in the company will be alerted as to a potential outage. So lots of different possibilities, solutions that you can implement and use our software to use as a framework. Yeah, so that's it. Yeah, hope I didn't, overrun too much there. There's too much to cover, so I mean, if you have any questions, just approach me after the talk, and I'll try to share more information. Thank you.
Thank you.